All right, good morning. Can you all hear me?
All right, go ahead, Judge.
All right, will you all raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm the information you're about to give is the truth to the best of your ability? If there is anyone that objects to that, you can keep your hand up. Everyone else, please lower your hand. All right, and everyone in the back can hear me? All right, this is your first appearance before the Magistrate Court of Clayton County. We are not here to try your case or take a plea today. You're here for the court to inform you of the charges against you, advise you of certain rights, set a bail on those offenses for which this court is authorized to set bail, to schedule a preliminary hearing, and to determine whether you require the assistance of an attorney. You have the right to remain silent and say nothing. But should you give up this right, anything you say during this proceeding may be used against you in any future hearing or trial in your case. During this and all other proceedings, you have the right to the presumption of innocence until the state proves your guilt beyond the reasonable doubt. You have the right to an indictment by grand jury for most felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors. You have the right to a speedy and public jury trial. You have the right to see, hear, and cross-examine witnesses who are called to testify against you. The right to compel the assistance of witnesses on your behalf by subpoena. The right to testify and offer other evidence in your own defense should you choose to do so. But should you choose not to do so, no presumption of your guilt may be raised. You have the right to have an attorney represent you. At this point, we will appoint an attorney to represent each of you. If there is anyone that has a private attorney or would like a private attorney to assist them, once they file their entry of appearance with the court, you'll no longer have that court-appointed attorney handling your case. Some of you will be allowed to post unrestricted bond for your release from jail pending prosecution of the case, which may be cash, commercial, or property. If you post a cash bond, someone will deliver the full amount of the bond in cash together with applicable mandated fees to the sheriff's office, who will hold it until your final court date, at which time the cash bond will be returned to the person who posted it. If you use a commercial bonding company approved by the sheriff, someone will have to pay the company up to 15% of the total bond as their fee for their service. This fee, which will not be returned to you, okay? And then if someone posts a bond using their property, they'll have to have a net equity in the property in the amount equal to or greater than 3 times the total amount of your bond. Some of you will have special conditions on your bond that prohibit you from contacting certain people or going to or around certain places. This special condition will be provided to you on a separate form. You will also be prohibited from calling or having other contact with the victim while you are in jail. Should you violate the court's order, your bond will be revoked. You will not be entitled to another bond while awaiting trial. An additional charge of aggravated stalking, influencing witnesses, or other charges as the law may provide could be brought against you, for which you could be sentenced up to 10 years in prison and fined up to $20,000. For family members who will assist you in posting bond, they will be provided information on your bond after we have concluded the first appearance calendar. If a family member is a victim on the warrant and there are special conditions that you are to have no contact with that family member, he or she will not be allowed to assist with the posting of bond. Some of you are charged with offenses for which this court is not authorized by law to set bail. In this event, a bond hearing will be scheduled before a superior court and you will be informed of that date. If you are currently on active probation, this court is not authorized to set a bond. Your bond can be reconsidered after your probation officer has an opportunity to determine if they wish to file a warrant for violation of your probation. usually during your preliminary hearing. The purpose of a preliminary hearing is to determine if there is enough evidence or probable cause to justify keeping you detained until such time as your case goes to trial. For those of you charged with misdemeanors only, you will have the option of waiving your preliminary hearing. Waiving your preliminary hearing will not affect your right to post bond, your right to have an attorney appointed or represent you if you qualify for one, or your right to a jury trial. If you post bond, your preliminary hearing is automatically waived, and you will be mailed a notice when to appear in the state court for arraignment. If you cannot make bond, you may waive your preliminary hearing and be taken before a state court judge, at which time, if you plead guilty, you will be sentenced. If you plead not guilty, a trial date will be scheduled. If you choose to have a preliminary hearing, the hearing will be scheduled for June the 22nd at 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 201. That's for misdemeanor matters. For those of you charged with felony offenses, you will not have the option of waiving your preliminary hearing today. Your preliminary hearing will be scheduled for June the 23rd at 8 a.m. in courtroom 201. Now I'm going to call you one by one until the end of the calendar. All right, and deputies, if you hear a person that needs an interpreter, if you'll let me know that, I'll hold those until the end so we can call the language line.
Okay.
First person I have is Barnett Adams.
You want me to tell you the names now for the interpreter?
You can, sure.
The last name is Rochajaamillo.
You said R, it starts with an R.
Rochajar.
Okay, I have that one. Okay. Is that the only one?
Yes, that's the only one.
Thank you. All right, after Mr. Adams is Terrence Agurah, Agurah, AgorUAH.
Hold on.
All right, and you're Barnett Adams?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Thank you. All right, Mr. Adams, you were charged with open container violation. Do you understand what you're charged with?
To a certain extent, yes, ma'am. I had an open container in my car. Oh, sorry.
Okay, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
You can read them out if you don't mind.
May 17th, it is said that you committed the offense of operating a motor vehicle on Georgia roadway, Rock Cut Road, in a blue Ford Mustang. At that time, you entered a road safety check with the smell of marijuana emanating from inside the vehicle. The subsequent search of the vehicle displayed an open container of an alcoholic beverage in your center console. Marijuana residue was also found throughout the vehicle. Your bond is $500 and you're ordered not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
I already paid bond. I got the receipt in my chest right now.
And okay, and do you waive your preliminary hearing or would you like to have it?
You said if I waive it, I'll be on the June 23rd.
If you choose not to waive, it'll be June the 22nd. If you post bond, it'll automatically waive.
Oh, yeah, I posted bond, so I mean, yeah, I already paid the bond. I'm just waiting on the next process.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, you may return with the deputy, sir.
All right, thank you.
Come on. Come on.
After Mr. Aruga is Travis Barnes and you're Terrence Agurah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
So you're charged with family violence battery. Do you understand what you're charged with?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
I know what my charges are, ma'am.
All right, your bond is $5,000. You're ordered to stay away from Alexis Yarborough, not to return to 221 Upper Riverdale Road in Jonesboro, Georgia. If you have any of your belongings at that address, you are to make arrangements with the sheriff to pick it up, and you're not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you waive your preliminary hearing or would you like to have it?
What is that? I guess my first time on a offense like this. Is there any first time offense some type of program?
Okay, so you can discuss that and your options with your court-appointed attorney when they speak with you. At this point, I just need to know if you'd like to have your preliminary hearing. If you don't know what to do, I can set it down and then you can speak with your attorney. If you choose to waive after, then they'll notify the court, okay? That's gonna be set for June the 22nd at 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 201. You may return with the deputy.
Come on, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
All right, after Mr. Barnes is going to be Dwayne Blue. You're Travis Barnes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Barnes, you're charged with 2 counts of violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act. That is possession of marijuana more than an ounce, possession with intent to distribute, and possession of drug-related objects. Do you understand what you're charged with?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to waive the formal reading of your charges?
Take that off your mind.
What do you mean by that?
Do you want me to read out what the warrant says you did, or do you understand what you're charged with?
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
All right, your total bond is $20,000 and you're ordered not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
Yes, ma'am.
Your court date is set for June the 23rd at 8 a.m. in courtroom 201. You may return with the deputy.
Come on, Mr. Barnes.
After Mr. Blue is Lance Brooks. All right, and you're Dwayne Blue.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Blue, you're charged with possession of marijuana over an ounce, violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, and possession of drug-related objects. Do you understand what you're charged with?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charge?
No.
All right, it said that on May the 16th, you was a passenger in a vehicle that a traffic stop was being conducted on. A strong odor of marijuana was smelled inside the vehicle. During the search of the vehicle on the back seat, a book bag was located. Inside the book bag, a large plastic bag containing suspected marijuana, a white container with suspected marijuana, a plastic bag containing suspected marijuana, and a digital scale was located. The said accusers read the Miranda warning, which he acknowledged that he understood and agreed to speak, but stated he did not know who the marijuana belonged to. The marijuana weighed approximately 475.4 grams. Your total bond is $20,000 and you're ordered not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
I'm not sure, but I say if I pay total, it'd be 20,000 total.
20,000 plus surcharges. Your court date is set for June the 23rd, 8 a.m. in courtroom 201. You may return with the deputy.
Okay.
All right, after Mr. Brooks is going to be Romaro Cuevas.
Good morning,
This is
ma'am.
Cuevas now. You said, who did you say?
Lance Brooks, it's an add-on.
You said Brooks? Oh, I don't have a Brooks.
Okay, see, Lance Brooks is an add-on.
Okay, I didn't know anything about him. Okay.
All right, and you're Mr. Cuevas?
Sir.
Sir, you're charged with interference with government property. Do you understand what you're charged with?
Ma'am, what does that mean?
Take that off your-
It is said that on May the 16th, you did admit that you hung with your washcloth on the sprinkler head and caused the sprinkler head to break. And this was on the government property, and this incident happened in the Clayton County Jail.
Okay, ma'am.
Your bond is $7,000. You're ordered not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond? Your court date is set for June the 23rd at 8 a.m. in courtroom 201. You may return with the deputy.
7? On the 7?
Go, Mr. Cuevas. Go.
Next is Eric Dallas. After Mr. Dallas is Marcel Evans. You're Eric Dallas.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Dallas, you're charged with disorderly conduct and obstructing or hindering law enforcement. Do you understand what you're charged with?
No, ma'am, about the second charge.
All right, it said that on May the 17th, while being the front passenger in a vehicle, you became irate, using profane language about being stopped at a road checkpoint. You were asked 3 times to settle down and lower your voice. Says that you refused to comply with the lawful order to stop yelling and using foul language. Officer asked for your ID 3 times and you refused again to comply with the lawful order. When asked to step out of the vehicle, says you again refused the lawful order and you had to be assisted out of the vehicle. Says that you were under the influence of alcohol. Your total bond is $3,000 and you're ordered not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you waive your preliminary hearing or would you like to have it?
No, I don't want to wait.
All right, that's gonna be set for June the 22nd, 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 201. You may return with the deputy. After Mr. Evans is gonna be Adrian Ford. And you're Marcel Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're charged with driving on a suspended license. Do you understand what you're charged with?
Not necessarily, because I don't even have license.
All right, it said that on May the 17th, you did commit the offense of driving while suspended when you were in physical control of a black and colored 2000 Honda Civic. You entered a road safety checkpoint. Officer made contact with you and you advised that you did not have a driver's license. You say, hold on, I'm sorry, it's driving without a license.
I mean, from what they had told me, it was driving under suspension.
All right, it's driving without a license, sir. Your bond is $1,000, but it's an OR bond. You're ordered not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
Yeah.
Well, you have an OR bond. All right, you may return with the deputy. All right, after Mr. Ford is gonna be Cepeda Freeman. And you're Adrian Ford.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Ford, you're charged with driving under the influence of alcohol, less safe, speeding, stop sign violation, and open container violation. Do you understand what you're charged with? Do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
You said, do I waive it?
The formal reading of it, yes.
I'm not sure what that means.
Okay, it says that on May the 16th, you operated a motor vehicle on a public road and did fail to stop at a stop sign. That the driver then drove his car at 60 miles per hour in a posted 35-mile-per-hour speed zone. Upon stopping and speaking with the driver, the officer could smell a strong odor of alcohol or alcoholic beverage on your breath. Says that you submitted to a field sobriety test and showed to be heavily impaired and less safe to drive. 2 empty beer cans were in the front floor of your vehicle. Your bond is $4,500 and you're ordered not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
That would be 10%, but I would be able to pay $450.
You'd have to speak with the bonding company about that, sir.
Okay, yes, I think I will be able to.
Do you waive your preliminary hearing or would you like to have it?
I would like to speak to attorney. What do you mean, like?
Okay, so your court date is gonna be June the 22nd at 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 201. After you speak with your court-appointed attorney, if you choose to waive, they'll notify the court, okay? You may return with the deputy. After Mr. Freeman is Cedric Hardiman.
No, Freeman. Pick that up your face so she can hear.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Freeman,
Yes, ma'am.
you're charged with possession of marijuana less than an ounce, 2 counts of violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act. That is possession of marijuana more than an ounce, possession with intent to distribute, possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Do you understand what you're charged with,
Those are all of my charges, ma'am?
sir?
Those are all of my charges?
That's all I have today. Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, I do.
All right, and do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes, ma'am.
You do not have a bond at this time. Your court date is set for June the 23rd at 8 a.m. in courtroom 201.
And is that the earliest day would be possible to get a bond?
That's the earliest date that we have, but once you speak with your court-appointed attorney, they may be able to get a earlier date.
All right, thank you so much.
You may return with the deputy. After Mr. Hardiman is Zakevius McKenzie. You're Cedric Hardiman.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Hardiman, we've reduced the terroristic threat to disorderly conduct and obstructing an officer. Those are your 2 charges. Sir, do you understand what you're charged with?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, it does not mean that the state cannot bring the terroristic threat at a later date. Sir, do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
No,
I can't hear you.
Yeah, speak louder.
no, I don't wanna wait.
Okay, so it says that on May the 16th, that you threatened to kill the suspect Jonathan Hogan in the officer's presence. It says that you stated, when I see him, I'm going to kill him. And again, in the officer's presence, you were given the command to calm down and sit down in the chair during the investigation. You repeatedly disobeyed the officer's command to sit down. And you were given the command to place your hands behind your back. However, you knowingly and willfully resisted arrest by not placing your hands behind your back when you was given the command to do so. Your total bond is $3,000 and you're ordered to stay away from Jonathan Hogan, not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
Yeah, postpone. I'm calling the police. He first.
Do you waive your preliminary hearing or would you like to have it?
What do you mean by that? Like, explain it to me.
Okay, I'm going to set your hearing for June the 22nd at 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 201. Once you speak with your attorney, if you choose to waive, they'll notify the court and you may return with the deputy.
When she's talking.
You may return with the deputy.
Come on over here.
All right. After Mr. McKenzie will be DeMarco May. Akivia McKenzie.
How you doing?
Sir, you're charged with criminal trespassing in violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, that is possession of MDMA. Do you understand what you're charged with?
Ma'am.
Do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes.
All right, your total bond is $13,500. You're ordered to stay away from Jemiah Jackson, not to return to 100 Valley Hill Road in Riverdale, Georgia. And you're not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
Yes, ma'am. How much you said was it?
$13,500. Your court date is set for June the 23rd at 8 a.m. in courtroom 201. You may return with the deputy. After Mr. May is Dane Nguyen. You're DeMarco May.
Ma'am.
Sir, you're charged with 2 counts of violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, that is possession of ecstasy and possession of marijuana less than an ounce. You also have giving a false name, address, or date of birth. Do you understand what you're charged with?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
No.
All right, it says that on May the 16th, you knowingly and willfully gave the false name of Norris Howard to a law enforcement officer. Incident to arrest, a bag of marijuana was located in your front right pocket. Also, a bag of pills that tested positive for MDMA ecstasy, totaling gross weight of 18.75 grams. Individually packaged, was located in a bag on the offender's person. This occurred in Clayton County. You do not have a bond at this time. Your court date is set for June the 23rd at 8 a.m. in courtroom 201. You may return with the deputy. After Mr. Nguyen is Courtney Thomas.
Yes.
And you're Dang Nguyen. Sir, you're charged with driving under the influence of alcohol less safe, speeding in a school zone, and improper lane change. Do you understand what you're charged with?
Sorry,
He said he doesn't understand.
my
Driving the car.
All right, on May the 17th, it is said that you operated a motor vehicle on a public road, Terra Boulevard, and you, excuse me?
He doesn't understand English. He's not understanding all the English too well. That's what he said.
Oh, okay, so let's save him with Ms. Rocha, and we'll have an interpreter assist, okay?
Okay, he's not, what language?
Oh, Vietnam.
Vietnamese.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, officer. So,
All right, after Mr. Thomas is going to be Darren Washington.
okay. Mr. Thomas, take it off you.
All right, you're Courtney Thomas.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Thomas, you're charged with driving under the influence of alcohol, obstructing an officer, open container violation, and impeding traffic. Sir, do you understand what you're charged with?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you waive the formal reading of your charges? Sir,
Ma'am,
do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
no matter what.
All right, it is said that on May the 17th, you committed the offense of driving under the influence when said offender admitted to consuming an alcoholic beverage prior to operating a 2002 Chevy Tahoe. Said offender was unconscious at the traffic light at the incident locations, causing vehicles on the roadway to go around his vehicle. Open container of Hartley VSOP 750 milligrams was located in the passenger seat of the offender's vehicle. The bottle of Hartley was 1/4 full. Said offender refused to be placed in the back of a patrol vehicle by telling officers no. Your total bond is $7,500, and you're ordered not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
I'll try to.
Do you waive your preliminary hearing, or would you like to have it?
All right, have it.
That's going to be set for June the 22nd, 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 201. You may return with the deputy. Right after Mr. Washington will be Amani Mohammed.
Judge, we already have Brooks. After him, you're gonna do Brooks.
Oh, you have Brooks down? Okay. All right, and you are Darren Washington?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Washington, you're charged with driving without a license, concealing the identity of a vehicle, possession of marijuana, more than an ounce, violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, that is the possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, and use or possession of drug-related objects. Do you understand what you're charged with? Do you waive the formal reading of your charges? I can't hear you. Sir? All right, it said that on May the 16th, you did drive a Toyota Scion, Georgia temporary tags on I-675 South. The tags were run through GCIC and NCIC, which did not receive a return of the vehicle. A traffic stop was conducted, which the said accused could not provide a driver's license. The said accused provided his name. which was run in GCIC and CIC and revealed he did not have a driver's license. A strong odor of marijuana was smelled inside the vehicle. During the search of the vehicle, inside the back seat, a book bag was located. Inside the book bag, a large plastic bag containing suspected marijuana, a white container with suspected marijuana, and a plastic bag containing suspected marijuana, and a digital scale was located. You read your Miranda rights or warning, which is acknowledged that you understood, but you declined to speak. The marijuana weighed approximately 475.4 grams. Your bond is $21,500, and you're ordered not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
No, ma'am.
Your court date is set for June the 23rd at 8 a.m. in courtroom 201. You may return with the deputy.
All right.
Come on, Mr. Brooks.
All right, you're Lance Brooks.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Brooks, you're charged with possession of marijuana less than an ounce and criminal trespassing. Do you understand what you're charged with?
I don't understand the criminal trespassing portion of it. I was on my own property and
All right, it is said that on May the 17th, you maliciously interfered with the property of Kiara Bazemore without the consent when you suspended the phone line, taken the phone and hid it underneath the bed. Once placed in custody, a search of the offender's person revealed the victim's blue Chase debit card in the offender's right pants pocket. The debit card was removed from the victim's purse. A bag of marijuana, approximately 8 grams, was located and observed in plain view in the bedroom. You admitted to ownership. This was all done in Clayton County. It says that you both reside together. Your total bond is $5,000. You're ordered to stay away from Kiara Bazemore, not to return to 1301 Brookstone Ridge in Atlanta, Georgia. If you have any of your belongings at that address, you do need to make arrangements with the sheriff to pick it up, and you're not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond? Do you waive your preliminary hearing, or would you like to have it?
I'm not familiar with my legal rights on that.
Okay, so I'll set it for June the 22nd, 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 201. After you speak with your attorney, if you choose to waive, they'll notify the court, okay? You may return with the deputy.
Go all the way out the door.
Right. Imani Muhammad. After Ms. Muhammad is Thaisa Mustafa. And you're Imani Muhammad?
Yes.
All right, you're charged with theft by taking. Do you understand what you're charged with?
Yes.
Do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
No.
No.
All right, it's said that on May the 20th of 2019, you did take approximately $93.03 from the cash register to property of Ling Dong with the intent to deprive said owner of the property. Your bond is $2,000. You're ordered not to return to 2079 Mount Zion Road in Morrow, Georgia. You're not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you waive your preliminary hearing, or would you like to have it?
I'd like to have it.
That's going to be set for June the 22nd, 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 201. And you may return with the deputy.
You said what date?
Put the pen down.
The 22nd,
Come on, write it down, hurry up, quick.
22nd.
at 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 201. After Ms. Mustafa is going to be Latoya Wright.
Right, that's right.
All right, and you're Thaisa Mustafa.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you're charged with family violence battery. Do you understand what you're charged with?
Yes.
Do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes.
Your bond is $5,000. You're ordered to stay away from Kayla Nathaniel not to return to 501 Roberts Drive in Riverdale, Georgia. You're not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
Yes. But she's not at the apartment.
Has she ever lived there?
Yeah, she lived there, but they took her to defects.
Okay, allow your attorney to provide us with documentation, and we can look at the circumstances and make a decision at that point, okay? This is based on what's on the warrant.
Okay.
All right, and do you waive your preliminary hearing, or would you like to have it?
I would like to have it.
That's gonna be set for June the 22nd at 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 201. You may return with the deputy. All right, and you're Latoya, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You're charged with possession of MDMA and possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Do you understand what you're charged with?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Yes, ma'am.
Your total bond is $11,500, and you're ordered not to violate any laws if you post bond. Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
Yes, ma'am.
Your court date is set for June the 23rd at 8 a.m. in courtroom 201. And you may return with the deputy. All right, do you all want to handle Ms. Rocha first or Mr. Wing?
Go to Ms. Rocha first, Judge.
Okay, give me a moment. Let me get the language line on the phone.
Hold on. No waivers? No waivers.
That's good.
For Spanish, press 1. For other, press 2. Please enter your personal code. Please hold for an interpreter. Thank you for calling Language and Solutions. This is Cecilia, ID number 358208. I'll be a Spanish interpreter. How may I help you?
All right, I am here with a Miss Jamilio Rocha.
Yuridia Rocha.
All right, and
Yuridia Rocha.
okay, Miss Rocha, you are charged with battery. Do you understand what you're charged with?
No.
Rocha, usted se le está acusando. Permítame un momento que hable su intérprete. I'm sorry, this is the interpreter. Is it okay if I look the term battery up to have an accurate translation?
For battery?
Yes.
Okay.
One moment, please. Usted está siendo acusada con un cargo de agresión. ¿Entiende el cargo?
Sí.
Yes, I understand.
Do you waive the formal reading of your charges, or do you want them read out?
¿Quiere usted renunciar a que se le lean los cargos formales o quiere que se le lean en este momento formalmente sus cargos?
Sí, quiero que se me lean porque a mí nunca se me dio un traductor. Aparte, la persona donde me dijeron en el apartamento era el papá de mis niñas, el cual me pegó y tengo violencia en mi cara, aquí.
Because they haven't been read to me with a translator before.
Nunca se me dio una traductora, Y quiero saber, porque la policía que me arrestó tampoco me dijo por qué se me arrestaba. Porque yo hablé también de mi apartamento, lo cual me dijeron ellos que fuera para allá, para mi apartamento, porque no me salía el domicilio, la dirección, porque yo vivía en Texas. Él me hizo que viniera para acá, para Georgia. So, yo vivía en ese apartamento, yo me salí de ese apartamento.
I want my charges to be read to me because they haven't been read to me before with a translator present, and the policewoman who arrested me was not using a translator, and I was not aware of the reason that I was arrested. And I only came to Georgia because I was asked by him to come. I used to live in Texas, and that apartment that I came to is the one that I used to live in.
Okay, it is said that on May the 16th, you did intentionally cause visible bodily injury to the victim identified as Bradley Arnold.
Bueno, lo que se menciona es que el día 16 de mayo usted causó daños físicos visibles e intencionales a la víctima identificada como Bradley Turner.
No,
It is said that you arrived at the home located at 855 Mount Zion Road.
sí.
Hold on.
Y lo que se menciona, le estoy leyendo los cargos, por favor. Lo que se menciona es que en este día usted llegó al domicilio ubicado en el 855 de Magistrate Road
In Jonesboro, Georgia, and struck the victim multiple times following a verbal altercation.
en
Jonesboro, Georgia.
en Jonesboro, Georgia, y que usted golpeó a la víctima en varias ocasiones.
No,
Un momento.
It further says that she attempted to enter the residence as the victim attempted to close the door, resulting in injury to his left index finger.
También se menciona que usted intentó entrar al domicilio mientras la víctima estaba intentando de cerrar la puerta, lo cual resultó en una lesión en el dedo índice de la mano izquierda de la víctima.
The incident was witnessed by a neighbor identified as Anita Goss.
El incidente tuvo como testigo a una vecina identificada como Anita Goss.
It's further said that the offender and the victim does not live together but share 2 children.
También se menciona que el ofensor y la víctima no tienen una relación en este momento, pero tienen 2 hijos en conjunto.
And this event occurred in Clayton County, Georgia.
Y esto sucedió en Clayton County, Georgia.
Your bond is $5,000.
Su fianza es de $5,000.
You're ordered to stay away from Bradley Arnold.
Y a usted se le ordena que se mantenga alejada de Bradley Arnold.
Not to return to 855 Mount Zion Road in Jonesboro, Georgia.
También se le ordena que no regrese al domicilio en el 855 de Jonesboro Road. I'm sorry, could you just repeat the name of the city?
Jonesboro, Georgia.
In Jonesboro, Georgia.
And you're not to violate any laws while on bond.
No debe violar ninguna ley mientras está bajo fianza.
Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
¿Cree usted que vaya a poder hacer el pago de la fianza?
¿cuánto es?
$5,000.
How much is it? Son $5,000.
No, no tengo. Quiero no tengo dinero tampoco para pagar un abogado. quiero si me pueden dar un abogado y que para exponer cómo pasaron los hechos y también explicar, porque no, al momento que yo llegué ahí, él fue el que me habló, según para hablar sobre las niñas.
We will appoint a court-appointed attorney to assist her with her case. She can discuss the facts of the case with the court-appointed attorney. And I'm going to schedule a court date.
Se le va a proveer un abogado que es directamente provisto por la corte y va a poder discutir los hechos del caso con él para que pueda representarla, y se le va a asignar una fecha para que se presente en la corte.
And the court date will be set for June the 22nd at 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 201.
Y la fecha para que asista a la corte está fijada para el día 22 de junio a las 8:30 a.m. en la sala de la corte número 201.
If you choose to waive your preliminary hearing, the attorney will let the court know.
Y si usted decide renunciar a su juicio preliminar, el abogado que va a ayudarla de parte de la corte va a presentar este hecho.
And you can return with the deputy.
Una pregunta. Entonces, ¿cuánto tiempo voy a estar aquí? Porque yo tengo mis niñas aquí también. Y no tengo ese dinero para pagar.
I just wanted to state that I do not have the money to pay the bond.
Okay, you're going to speak with your attorney regarding your circumstances, and they will present the proper information to the court to consider.
Usted va a hablar con el abogado para mencionarle las circunstancias específicas de su caso, y él va a ser el que presente los hechos de la forma adecuada frente a la corte.
¿Cómo yo lo voy a localizar? Porque lo que pasa es que yo no hablo inglés.
How am I going to get in touch with the attorney? The thing is that I don't speak any English.
The attorney will make contact with her if she's still in custody, but she can call, and they have either Spanish-speaking attorneys there, or they will also call the language line.
El abogado se va a poner en contacto con usted mientras usted continúe en custodia, y también puede hablar por teléfono con ellos, ya sea que la van a atender directamente un abogado que hable español o a través del uso de un intérprete.
Gracias.
All right, thank you. And do you transfer us, or do we have to call back if we need a Vietnamese interpreter?
I can transfer you.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. One moment, please.
Yes, well, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hello?
Hello, this is a customer agent. One moment, please, for your Vietnamese interpreter.
Thank you.
I'll be your Vietnamese interpreter today.
All right, thank you. Sir, are you Dang Nguyen?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you are charged with driving under the influence of alcohol less safe,
Dạ thưa quý vị, thì là mình đã bị phạt á, với cái việc đó là mình lái xe khi mà mình đang chịu ảnh hưởng của cồn vậy hả?
Speeding in a school zone, 87 miles per hour in a posted 45 mile per hour speed zone.
Dạ thưa quý vị, thì là mình lái xe 87 mile trên giờ trong khi cái vùng mà mình phải lái nó là chỉ có 45 thôi ha.
You're also charged with improper lane change.
Dạ mình bị phạt với lại là mình xe cái này đường mà không đúng cách á.
Do you understand what you're charged with?
Yes, ma'am.
Mình có hiểu là mình bị phạt cái gì hôm nay mà.
Do you waive the formal reading of your charges?
Dạ thì là mình cũng muốn từ bỏ những cái bị phạt này mà.
Dạ, sao chị? Em nghe không rõ, chị nói lại giùm em hả?
Can you please give me a repetition?
Okay, it says that on May the 17th, you operated a vehicle on a public road, Terra Boulevard.
Dạ thì là ngày 17 tháng 5 mình có lái xe trên đường Harold Boulevard đúng không ạ?
That you did drive your vehicle at a speed of 87 miles per hour in a posted 45 zone. It's a construction area.
Dạ. Thì là mình có lái xe là 87 mile trên giờ trong khi một cái chỗ nó chỉ có là 45 mile thôi đúng không ạ?
Dạ.
It further says
Chỗ nó
that
đang sửa chữa à.
It further says that the driver failed to maintain his lane crossing both the left and the right lines.
Dạ, thì là mình đã không có hoàn chỉnh để mà lái. Một là đường bên trái, hai là cái làn đường bên phải. Cả hai mình đều không có, mình bị sai hết cả hai làn đường này.
Says that the driver admitted to drinking and submitted to a field sobriety test.
Dạ, thì là mình có chấp nhận là mình đã làm cái việc này sai hay là không? Rồi mình có chấp nhận là mình sẽ làm cái bài kiểm tra mà rồi mình có tỉnh táo hay không? Được lúc này không ạ?
Dạ có.
It shows that the driver showed to be less than safe to drive and impaired by alcohol.
Dạ, thì là cái bài kiểm tra, cái kết quả là mình thấy là cái việc lái xe này mình đó là không có đủ an toàn. Chưa có đủ an toàn mà có thể lái xe thì mình chịu cái ảnh hưởng của rượu bia.
Your total bond is $5,000 and you're ordered not to violate any laws if you post bond.
Dạ, thì là bây giờ tổng số tiền đó là 5.000 đồng. Và cái này đó, những cái mà việc sai khác đó, thì mình sẽ trì hoãn lại.
Dạ.
Do you think you'll be able to post bond?
Thank you.
Dạ, thì là mình nghĩ là mình có trì hoãn lại được hay không?
Trì hoãn trả tiền nữa hả chị?
Postpone payment?
Right, yes, you could either pay it the cash bond, go through a bonding company to pay a percentage of the bond, or a property bond, or
Dạ, thưa anh, thì là bây giờ đó là mình có thể là mình trả bằng tiền mặt. Cái đó là trả tiền đó, thì có thể trả bằng tiền mặt, hoặc là mình có thể là có một cái công ty dịch vụ để trả tiền cho anh phải trả cái phần trăm cho chỗ này. Hoặc là mình có thể là mình, giống như là mình ký lại như là nhà đất, hay là những cái mà có thể là ràng buộc với mình đó, để mình có thể đi ạ.
Dạ. Chị hỏi bà giùm em là có thể mình, tại em đi làm mà đó, mình trả payment được không?
Is it possible if like, can I go to work and pay by payment?
no, sir, that's not how you would be able to post bond, but we have appointed a court-appointed attorney to assist you, and they can speak with you about your options.
Dạ, thưa anh, thì là bây giờ thì không nghe thì nó không phải là cái cách mà mình có thể là làm cái việc này nữa, thì mình đã có yêu cầu một người luật sư đó để mà có thể là nói chuyện với anh và cho anh biết những cái sự lựa chọn của anh có anh ha.
We are going to set your preliminary court date for June the 22nd, 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 201.
Dạ thưa anh, thì mình sẽ đó là làm cái ngày mà sơ bộ, cái ngày mà làm như là phán xét sơ bộ của anh đó là ngày 22 tháng 6 ha, 8:30 sáng phòng 201.
After speaking with your attorney, if you choose to waive your preliminary hearing, they will notify the court.
Dạ thì mình có thể là nói chuyện với luật sư mình xong rồi, nếu mà mình muốn hủy cái ngày ra tòa sơ bộ này thì mình có thể là người luật sư đó sẽ báo cho chúng tôi biết ha.
Thì nói với về giùm em á, thì để em kêu trả bằng thẻ cũng được hoặc là trả cũng được. Dạ.
Xin lỗi, anh trả bằng thẻ cũng được hoặc là trả bằng gì cũng được ạ.
Trả tiền mặt cũng được, cả trả cash cũng được. Dạ.
I could pay either by card or cash.
Okay. He will pay that to the jail and you can return with the deputy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Dạ, mình có thể là trả cái này cho cái chỗ giam giữ mình ha. Mình có thể là quay lại với lại cái người phá phòng rồi ha.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much for your services.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. All right. Is that the last person?
Yes, George, we're going to send you